It's way over here.
Yeah, it is a problem, isn't it, Steve?
Everything in my life is a problem, Chris.
Well,
You can't please anybody.
You are a problem, Steve.
I've been told.
And as we have discussed many times, you are fake news.
I am not.
Tonight, however, Steve, we put an end to your fake news.
I don't like that idea. I enjoy the news. Real and or fake.
I don't think you do.
No, I don't.
I think you hate it. I seriously I think you hate it.
I'm not a big fan of. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it for a while. But,
it tickled your funny bone for a little bit.
It did. I mean, if we get penis stories and shit, I think those are funny.
Something that makes you giggle, right?
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Something like that is good. Can we do penis stories?
I don't know.
All right.
I seriously, I don't know. We have to go in a different direction.
All right. Well, I guess I'm learning.
I think I've found the direction that we need to go in, Steve.
All right. I'm going to learn this the same time as everybody else. So,
yes, you're in the dark.
I'm always in the dark.
You are completely in the dark.
Yeah.
So you ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Fortean Slip, episode 22, the end of fake news. Now, at the end of this, I should put in parentheses, Steve.
You kicking me off the show?
No.
Oh.
No.
Gave me the fake news, Steve.
Steve, I mean, kicking you off the show, that's harsh.
Yeah.
Not
that it is uncalled for. It's
no. I mean,
I get it if you did. I mean, I wouldn't
you off the show per se.
Uh-oh. There's a per se there. I don't like the per se. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. Let's find out.
It could be fun for you.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Maybe it'll be a relaxing respite. The end of fake news. It brings in a new wave of hope to the people.
Okay.
You don't agree?
I don't know. I have no clue where we're going from here. I mean, the news is a big part of the fake news, as you call it, is a big part of the show.
See, even you're saying it right now. The fake news is a big part of the show. There's no stability. Steve,
did we get a new news guy? Is that what's going on?
Steve, it isn't about new news guys or old news guys.
A replacement?
America and all the ships at sea.
That's right. It's about the news, Steve, and what it brings to the table.
Okay.
Flash. A woman turned up at a fire station in Indianapolis in the middle of the night, saying her pet needed help. It wasn't the obvious reason of a cat being stuck in a tree. Oh, no. She said her pet raccoon had been exposed to a large amount of cannabis. Township Fire Captain Mike Pruitt said his team were scratching their heads after the incident. They stood around and sampled the cannabis to test its potency.
So that doesn't sound like real news to me.
That is real news, Steve.
It sounds like some old 40s news flash.
No, that's the news.
Outdated news.
A raccoon got stoned, Steve.
Well, yeah, I know. I read the story that somebody
That's the news story. That was and hold on, news guy.
I'm the news guy.
No, Steve. This is the end of fake news.
Yeah.
All right.
News guy. You shut your whore mouth.
I'm just trying to help. Lovely ladies in the chat room.
Shit.
All right, well, let's go with this new thing, and we'll see if it works out. I'll probably end up.
I think we needed to bring more truth and justice, if you will, Steve,
Yeah.
That's the American way.
to the to the news.
Oh Lord.
And I thought of no better way.
I may lodge a protest after the show with the union, but we'll see.
There's a union?
There's going to be.
Oh, all right.
I have rights too.
So anyway, take it away, news guy, if you will.
News flash. John Madison, 22, was transported to Cowell Hospital after suffering from several breathing complications, vomiting, extreme swelling, and low blood pressure. Doctors believe physical contact with the giant mollusk may have triggered his allergy, exposed him to high levels of arsenic. Madison, 22, whose condition was stabilized, says he inserted his penis inside the
Yay.
to impress his friends.
He stuck his dick in the mollusk.
To impress his friends, no less.
Huh.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, no, okay. I might agree with these kind of news stories. I like this.
What? Just because there was a penis?
Yeah, because I giggle at penises. I think that it's funny.
I know, Steve. I know.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm a grown man with
I
a
do.
penis myself, and I
do,
shouldn't
Steve.
giggle.
The writing's on the wall, son.
All right.
Oh, okay. News flash. News flash. 27-year-old David Smith and two of his friends were enjoying the first day of a 2-week vacation in Thailand and had to spend some time at the beach. Around 10 a.m., Mr. Smith moved a few hundred meters away from the friends in order to put on a fake shark fin and pull a prank on them. He started swimming around the beach with only the fin emerging from the water, provoking an instant reaction from the local fishermen. They fired dozens of projectiles at his direction and speared him a total of 9 times before they realized their mistake. Mr. McKinnon's friend rapidly.
Yes, they harpooned him.
What a fucking idiot.
Hit by several harpoons.
Does that mean the end of the news theme music too?
Listen, you fucking just you take what you're given.
I mean, it's never fun to be fired from a position. I mean, especially live on air when you don't even know what's going to happen.
Oh, Dave's going to fire me right after the show.
Oh.
Way to break down the fourth wall, Bob.
Is that our new newsman's name, Bob?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you want to know who he is, Steve?
Oh, fuck! Shut the fuck up right now.
Some say.
Live from Area 54.
What's happening down there, Bob?
Oh, man. I can't. I mean, I could tell you, but I can't tell you
You could tell us, Bob.
the happening place. Not like
Bob is a boots on the ground kind of guy. Area 54, go, Bob.
Area 51 was a red herring.
That's right.
It's a sham, a fake. They use that to draw your attention away from Area 54. People don't understand this. Area 54 is actually underground.
Mm.
Yes.
Called Oak Island.
Yes.
Ah, is that what's down there?
Yes, I agree.
I've always wondered. I mean, yeah, they can't get to it. So it's like the defense mechanisms of that place are really, high tech because nobody can ever get to the bottom of that.
In our next hour, Bob Poling will continue telling us about the Area 54 base under Oak Island.
Oak Island. Or I could read you this news story about a Chinese restaurant accused of stealing and cooking dozens of dogs, but that's not news.
No, not really.
No.
No, they do that. They do that shit.
Chow.
It's a travesty. So, Steve, how did you like the new news?
Well, I mean, like I said, I was fired on air. I mean, what am I supposed to? How am I supposed to respond to this?
I didn't fire you. It's the end of fake news.
Well, how was his news any more real than my news?
Well,
It's news.
news. Didn't it not news to you? It was news to me.
You're the new guy. You're not supposed to have an opinion yet.
This is the news guy, Bob.
Bob the newsman.
Bob knows the news.
Well, Bob did a good job on his news stories. I have to admit that.
Bob knows how to speak to the people, Steve.
And I don't.
Yeah.
Steve, according to Jennifer Brumley, you're way better than me.
I am way better than you.
Well, I'll agree. He is better.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're better at, but for most things, you're right. She's right.
Yeah, sure. Sure. We'll go there. You're the
He is
best.
the talent.
You're the best.
I am the talent.
Mad
You're the best.
Richard, the cruel.
I hope that the new newsman doesn't think he's going to horn in and become the talent, because I've got that job wrapped up.
Sure.
You think so?
I don't know. After tonight, anything is possible.
Well, we could go in any direction at this point, Steve.
Oh, I dropped something.
I'll let you in a little secret.
A little secret. What are you talking like you're in underwater? You're very low, Bob.
It's it's that filter he put on his mic to sound like
Yeah, to sound like he's fucking talking through a telephone.
Wow, that sucks.
Hey, that's better.
All right. Yeah, no, this is a little prank on Steve, and I was glad to be involved.
It was fun, actually. I just hope it doesn't continue.
But you never know. I might pop up now and again.
Weekly.
Maybe.
It is a better voice of the news, Steve. You have to,
Well, yeah, I am the first to admit that I'm a shitty ass news guy. I mean, I suck at
you're
it.
the worst.
I am bad.
I actually enjoy Steve's news segments, but that's me.
Well, you like to see people suffer, and that's pretty much what I do.
We
when
like
I'm
to
reading.
listen to people flounder, Steve, is what we like
Well,
to
yeah,
do.
suffer through something they really don't want to do.
But man from Salta, Argentina, claims he's the infamous German dictator Adolf Hitler.
Mm.
128 years old.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's an old dude.
tell us more, newsman.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. In an interview with the ultra-conservative newspaper El Patriota, the naturalized German immigrant explains he arrived in the country in 1945.
Wow.
Passport identifying him as Hermann Gunzberg. And he claimed his passport was fake and that he's actually Adolf Hitler.
What do you think, Steve?
His wife of 5 years claims that he never told her that he was Adolf Hitler until after he had actually became dementia.
So he never claimed to be Adolf Hitler until he got dementia. Is that what you're saying?
That's the story.
Hmm.
Big news.
And-
Big news there from Argentina.
Well, the rumor is that that's where Hitler fled to, right? I mean, speculation.
We know exactly what happened in a secret.
I don't know.
Area.
Is it just me, or is Bob breaking up like crazy?
I can hear Bob.
Yeah, I've
Nice,
only
plain and clear. Yeah, I
mean,
can barely make him out.
He sounds like he's low a lot of times, but he's coming through clear.
Well, I'm on Wi-Fi, so
Well, there's your first problem.
Get up on that mic, son.
I'm right on top of it.
Yeah. Wow. Somebody stick a finger up your ass.
He was on top of the mic.
I'm up my ass.
Oh, the mic was up his ass.
Sounds like it.
And that's the news.
That's the news.
See, we need a better sign off.
See, now Bob's
There's the news story.
Bob's a great news man. He brings the news, Steve.
I'm not sure he brought it. I mean,
He is indeed a great newsman. In fact, some say.
No. Nobody says anything.
Somebody says.
You know what, Bob? I want to go back to the. Fuck it, Phil. I want to go back to the Browns thermal footage.
Oh boy.
Because we have a differing opinion from yours. I don't know if your opinion's still the same. I recently went back and took a look at that footage again. Now, I mean, also knowing some other things, and you and I have been there.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there more than me.
Right.
Have your thoughts remained the same on the thermal video itself? Forget all the bullshit. Forget the people themselves, the people that were a part of it. Take just the evidence laid out. Are your thoughts the same?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, there's some footage. It's called the Grays Harbor thermal footage.
Yes.
Yep.
And that can be found, that breakdown that Phil did can be found on his channel, youtube.com/parabreakdown. Correct, Phil?
Yeah. Very.
All right. So, and Phil and I both went to the site, the Browns property, if you will.
It was loads of fun.
Yeah. I mean, we all got together. We got shit-faced drunk. I got chased through the woods by John in a Bigfoot costume.
Which was interesting because in the Bigfoot costume, you could definitely see that whatever was on the original footage was not some guy in a costume, since the costume basically covers up the body heat.
Right. The only spaces you could see body heat on the costume was like right around the holes in the face on the mask, and then he didn't want to use the hands or the feet on the costume. Doug didn't, because he didn't want him to get ruined, which I completely understood. So you could see those, but if he had been wearing the things, you wouldn't have been able to see shit besides the face.
Right.
So, and you know, I did watch through your breakdown again. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've been there. I've seen the spot. I don't, with the angles and everything, I don't know that it could have been a cow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it was a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or whatever. I will say that I, you know, based on other things that I may have seen, which we can talk about after the show, I tend to agree with your findings and disagree with Steve on the whole cow thing. I don't think it was a cow.
Wait, what?
I do think that there was a lot of bullshit that was going on there, though.
Well, the only thing that I could determine is what it was not, rather than what it was.
Right.
Well, I have to agree that it's not. I never even considered that it was a guy in a suit, just judging on the thermal itself, because obviously, like Chris and Doug and Jonathan found out, and when you put a suit on, it hides the thermal image. So I knew it wasn't that. I haven't been there, So judging distances and things for me is a lot harder than used to because you guys have been there. So my opinion is only based on what I can see, and I haven't gone back and looked because, Chris didn't tell me that's what we were talking about tonight. And so it's been what? How many years has that been? 2-3 years now?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since I went out.
Well, yeah, since the event and since you went out, because we were still talking
because
about
I
it.
went out in 2014.
Yeah, so it's been a while. So I haven't had a chance to go back and look with a fresh set of eyes. There was a lot of other things. Well, I guess it wasn't at that point a lot of things going on then, but a lot of things have happened in the meantime, and it kind of clouded the whole situation. But
Yeah, I think we went down out in October of 2014. It was either that or it was late September.
It's kind of a blur.
Obviously, you can't call it a Bigfoot because it's a thermal image and it's ambiguous, really. But you can't also call it a cow if you don't know that's what it is. So my opinion just happens to be that it was a cow, but that's just an opinion. I mean, I can be swayed.
At first, I thought it was a cow.
Yeah.
But after comparing all the silhouettes that I could find online of cows, face on, ass end on, or whatever, I've determined there's no way in hell that silhouette is one of a cow, no matter how you put a cow.
And even if I don't even think it could have been two cows like side by side on that little trail, because it wouldn't have made sense. They wouldn't have been like that still for that long in that one pose.
Correct.
It's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's not moving. I could not determine that it's more than one thing. And as you're saying, if there was two things put together, you would see one or the t'other moving or whatever.
You'd see some deviation.
I suppose you could have tried to heat up a bunch of rocks and stack them on that narrow trail, but it would have had to have been 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Well, the height, I did see the height comparisons, and it, was it Sarah, right? She stood in the spot, and it was well above her head.
Yes.
Or was it? Yeah. So.
And if you actually examine the trail is 4 feet on the other side of the embankment, and I'd say that trail is maybe 13 inches wide on a 45-degree incline. For a cow to be there, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a very weird spot. It drops off dramatically.
What is the instances of cows coming up that trail? Any that we know of?
What do you mean? You mean up that narrow trail?
Yeah. Do they do that?
No.
Okay.
There's a cow trail wide, like 10, 12 feet wide, that the cows come up from the lower field.
Because
that is about I would say 80 to 100 feet west of that narrow trail.
Right. There was a cow pasture down below the embankment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if it had been something down in that cow pasture, it would have had to have been pretty massive. I mean, if it just appeared that it was on the trail, it would have to have been even bigger than if it wasn't.
Yes, but I eliminated that.
Right. You did. I remember that. I guess I'm out of arguments.
Well,
I mean,
the only argument is we still don't really know what it was. But
and here's the thing, and I think Phil can agree with me on this. If you add in the people involved, I think a lot of the credibility goes out the window.
Yeah.
I personally think that, and I think Phil would agree with me.
Well, I don't know. Here's the odd thing about it.
Okay, lay it on me.
I think that they were influenced after the fact by, let's say, their pastor.
By what? By what?
Their pastor.
Really?
I think that they were experiencing something real, and they were very much into, their church. And
okay.
And they have told me about things that the pastor had said. That's where they came up with this evil entity, this Satan entity, and all this kind of crap,
The demons.
demons and all that.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking that here's a situation where you have somebody who is extremely full of faith. They see something like this, they don't know how to make heads or tail of it, so they maybe take it to their pastor, and they come back with a completely different viewpoint of it, and we all think they're nuts.
Yeah.
So,
Well, in defense of people who think, they were nuts, I mean, they plastered all over Facebook. I mean, none of this is, private. It was all put all over Facebook, and it did seem pretty off the wall, the things that were being said.
and I completely agree. I mean, they were tying in UFOs with it and everything else.
Yeah.
But
I
here,
got a little crazy.
it's all after when this first started out, and when they had the call. I've heard the calls. I've heard the calls on tape, and I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed with them because they were not wolves, they were not bear. I mean, I suppose he could have had his brother out in the woods, maybe making these calls or something. But
that is a complete possibility, and I don't think that should be ruled out. However, I tend to think that the possibility of there being something there was high.
considering the terrain and the flora, fauna, all that bullshit, yeah, I would say you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I walked around. I don't think you were there. You hadn't gotten there yet. But we walked out into the what is it? It was like a pasture down below, right?
Mm.
And we walked into the outlying woods around.
Yes.
David, myself, my ex. I can't. I think John was with us. I don't think Sarah was. And Jeff wound up not being able to make it very far and going back to camp. But we walked all around.
Did you get down by the river?
I want to say we did. We walked all around that fucking place.
What is the surroundings like? Is it heavily wooded? Is it?
It's a little bit of everything. The pasture's huge, but you go out into the outlying areas, and it's just woods. It's heavily
Yeah, a lot of woods,
just trees.
Let's assume for a moment that it was a Bigfoot or a creature, something like Bigfoot. What would bring it into that particular area? Was there a food source, or?
I don't know necessarily that it was something that brought it into the air. Maybe it was just curiosity.
Did you? Well, no. Now during the summer seasons, they have that whole area is full of blackberries.
Oh, that's true. There's a bunch of bushes.
A huge amount of blackberries in that area. But also, did you happen to see the area where she claimed her neighbors were bringing food out and leaving it?
No, but I don't agree with any of that type of.
Yeah, I don't know. I did not see the area, but I did see somebody had videotaped it. I don't know if it was one of them or what, but there's a round circular area out in the middle of the woods. There's a small clearing, and their neighbors, whatever, they bring out food and what have you, leftovers, and did the food. So I don't know if it's for the Bigfoots or for the deer, or I don't know, but that's kind of.
But they're feeding something.
They're feeding something.
What has been the follow-up activity there? I mean, is there still activity? Or obviously, we're not going to know because bridges have been burned and things like that. But do we know if there's any more sightings in, let's say, Grays Harbor since then?
Well, I was contacted by one of them not too long ago, but I did not respond, so I couldn't.
Okay.
Can you divulge anything about what the contact said?
No, it was a very brief one. It was just a quick hi, it's been a while type of a thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
So we obviously from them we haven't gotten any more contact, but has there been any reported sightings to the BFRO or any other Bigfoot organization that we know of since then?
Well, Steve, you're the news guy. Get on Google and
I
find.
am no longer the news guy.
He fucking listen. This is why he sucks, Phil. He doesn't take any action at all.
Is there,
Well, here's where I'm going with that. There were
He-
prior sightings.
He's
in
not
Grays Harbor.
proactive. He's deactive.
guys?
There were prior sightings in Grays Harbor prior to the Browns,
Yes.
not by the Browns. So that's why I'm wondering if there's been anything since.
Right, and that's a good thing to wonder about.
And I'm going to keep wondering because nobody knows the answer, apparently.
I don't know the answer, but you should be on top of that shit if you want to know, because you are an investigator, Steve.
If I type in Grays Harbor and Bigfoot, I'll probably just get the Brown sighting and the prior sighting.
But you may get something else.
I might.
So why don't you try that? Well, we're
What-
right here. We're right here, Steve. We could have a discussion,
We are having a discussion. I thought I was being very intelligent.
and you could add to that discussion by being an investigative journalist.
I'll be investigating right now.
That area falls right into the jurisdiction of the Olympic Project. They've been in and out of the Grays Harbor area quite often.
Right.
The Olympic project? You mean the hobby of the head of that project?
They've been in and out of that area quite often.
Oh,
And moving towards, I know that Grays Harbor, if you move towards the west, towards the ocean, there had been some sightings.
of mermaids.
Apparently, there's been sightings all along.
Fish people.
Cliff Bergman has something on his sighting on his site about prints from 1982. So they go back at least that far in Grays Harbor.
But nothing new.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
looking.
20.
There's an article here from Grays Harbor Talk, which is a local. Grays Harbor is a county, not a town,
Right.
apparently. So it's how big is it? Do you guys know?
I
could do
I only went to their place.
Yeah, I mean the county. Most counties aren't small, so. But there are people actively investigating that area because it looks like the Olympic National Forest falls within Grays Harbor region. So, like he said, the Olympic Project, who hasn't turned up any, at least as far as I know, solid evidence of Bigfoot.
No,
No?
Well, it's
that's
a
too
hobby.
bad. Yeah, because I was hoping that hobby would turn up some more shit.
Mm-hmm. So it is like you said, it's heavily forested in that area, and it's the Olympic National Forest is right there. So it sounds like it's a good place for something like that to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got area, you've got the ocean area, you've got the river area.
Yeah.
You have three different kinds of
So you got mermaids, and you got Bigfoots, and you got Sasquatches, and you got Yetis, all in the same area.
So if I get off the cow theory for a while, what about bear? Is there bear in that area? Obviously, there's got to be bear in that area.
Well, that's what they say, that there's up in the Olympic mountain range. Yes, there are definitely there.
So
But I mean,
They have
it's ultimately plausible that a bear could have been in that area.
that's
yeah,
fine.
but if you look at the size of the thing, black bear isn't that big. I mean, it's not even the size of a cow.
Oh, dude, they can get pretty big.
The way
You
it stood,
saw the
though,
video of the one I took. The video.
Oh,
the way
that
it
was-
stood so long.
that was a black bear.
The way it stood still for so long, though, it would have had to have been on all fours. I don't think it would have stood that still on two. I mean, so giving it height, you know what I mean? So what's a black bear when it's on all fours? It's not 7 feet high.
No.
That'd be a massive fucking bear.
No, but if it was standing at the point on the bottom and had its paws up further,
Yeah.
the top of its head could have possibly, that may have worked.
I think you would have saw a difference in the thermal because of the
I think you would have saw
Pads on
something
the
in the
feet.
posture, but it is something to look into because it is possible that there could have been a bear in that area.
When I did the video, I looked into it and the shape because they don't have shoulders per se. It's just basically a head and it just slopes down to their body.
Right.
And you can also see in the thermals that I've seen, you can see their ears sticking out.
Well, also, wouldn't a bear wouldn't come across as bright on a thermal, I don't think, because of all the. Well, I guess a Bigfoot would have a lot of fur too.
Yeah,
We don't know if there is a Bigfoot, such a thing. We don't know what their fur composition is.
Right.
So I can't really say that. That's just
Speculation.
speculation.
Are you doing a little speculative biology here, Steve?
I'm doing a little speculation. Well, I'm playing the devil's advocate here because we haven't, besides the circumstantial stuff, we don't see any solid evidence of anything. And so,
Well, I
gotta-
recently went back over a bunch of stuff after because we talked about this on one of the recent shows about the that video. Because you even said when we were talking about it, you're like, "Sorry, Phil, I don't. I think it's a cow."
Yeah, I know. It's just me being me. Because I don't know. I think even after we did, because we've done a show on it before, and I'm pretty sure that we discussed it. And by the end of that, I was pretty sure that I mean, it's been several years, so I don't remember exactly what we came to a conclusion there, which is
Now
no
here's
conclusion.
here's the other one
But
that I want
I
to
don't
bring
remember
up.
if I.
While we've got Phil right here, and that is the Bart Cuttino thermal footage at the Sierra quote unquote kill site. And I want your thoughts in retrospect on that now. Because I went back and looked over it, and while the comparison and everything is all fine and dandy, I can't help but call bullshit on that one all day long.
Okay. The only thing I can tell you is Bart wasn't faking it. Bart was not trying to.
No, I'm not trying to say that Bart was. I've met Bart. Bart's a nice guy. I have nothing bad to say about Bart. And I think, if anything, he was duped to some degree. I think it's a complete possibility that there were other people out there. I think that is a complete possibility.
It would be a possibility, yeah. I wouldn't say it was probable, but I mean, I would say the probability would be.
Well, the thing that bothers me about that whole scenario, that whole site, is everybody was always like, "Oh, it's so remote, nobody goes up there." But then in the next breath, they'd be like, "But there's a guy that lives down over there who runs cattle."
Oh, that guy's at the bottom of the road. He's out of there.
Right. But you get my point.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not as remote as they claim it is.
no, it's not. It's not as remote. It is out in the middle of nowhere, but it is not as remote because there is a road coming into the place.
Correct.
And
And there is a lot of bear activity there.
there's people hunting in the area.
Correct. And poaching.
Yes.
Apparently.
Only
Apparently.
when you're in the area, while you're there, you'll sure as hell know if someone comes up that road.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that just didn't happen. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Well, while Phil's gone,
Da-da-da-da-da.
I'll give my opinion on that one. We've
Okay.
done a show on that one too.
Right.
And unlike the Grays Harbor footage, which I disagreed with Phil's conclusion at the
Assessment.
time. Yeah, I kind of agreed with Phil's conclusion on this one. Now, even Bart himself said it was ambiguous, and he couldn't say 100% it was anything other than cool thermal footage.
Just some heat signatures that seem to be taller than Kip Morrill or as
Right.
tall as Kip Morrill.
Well, I don't know but you got it. I mean, I know you said with the Browns footage, you don't want to bring in the people, but you kind of have to. And what we know now, we would probably tend to more disagree with the validity of that one than we did back then.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I don't want to say that I'm throwing Bart under the bus when it
No,
comes
I
to
don't.
this
I
whole
think Bart
thing
was.
at all. I think that the other people that were involved had some agendas going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were filming a freaking documentary about Bigfoot,
Right.
and I guess that goes back to the whole Roger Patterson thing. He was filming a Bigfoot documentary at the time. He spotted a Bigfoot. Now,
and they wanted to have some type of evidence. And they thought,
and
that they could do this, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was. I don't know what these people were doing. All I can say is based on what I know about the situation, I think it was contrived.
And well, here's the thing. Once the documentary came out, they all disappeared after, it was gone.
It went away so quick.
And not Bart. Bart's still around, but the rest of them, the people who were involved in the filming of the documentary and stuff, friends of ours at the time.
Justin Smeha popped back up in the news.
Yeah, but not because of Bigfoot stuff. It
No?
was illegalities that he was accused of, and it's public. He was caught poaching.
Yeah.
It was always part of the whole story behind his shooting a Bigfoot is that he shouldn't even been doing what he was doing, is basically poaching. So he was finally caught doing that and faces some sort of legal problems with that.
And for those people that don't know, not that there's that many that listen to this bullshit anyway. Justin Smeha is a hunter who was admittedly poaching. I'm correct in saying that, right, Steve?
Yes.
At the point in time that he was going up to the quote unquote Sierra kill site, he claims that he shot a Bigfoot, like a full size Bigfoot, and then killed a child Bigfoot
with his bare hands.
Yeah, with his bare hands, he fucking strangled the little son of a bitch. No, he shot supposedly one of them as well. I don't. The more and more that I looked into that story, the more and more that I saw, it just kind of unraveled.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my guess.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The minute I met Smeha, and if Steve remembers correctly, I think he will remember me saying this. I said he's a fucking prankster.
Yep.
It's the first thing I thought. He's a fucking prankster. He likes.
My
being
guess
a prankster.
is that the documentary filmmaker that he was working with, we can say his name, right?
Sure.
It's all public knowledge.
Rose Sahibi
and Sean Young, I think his name is Sean Evidence at the time. He hadn't put his real name out there. I don't think they, at first, I don't know that they bought into the story, but it was intriguing enough to make a documentary about. And of course, Justin let them do it, But I don't think at first they thought it was.
So you don't buy into the conspiracy theory that they all went to high school together?
No.
And
that.
No?
I spent hours and days and months looking into that possibility, and I couldn't find anything remotely tying them together prior to the Bigfoot.
So Phil, did you ever actually go to the site?
No, I didn't. I really didn't feel the need to, because it had been trampled over so much. I keep going back to my other day in my other job, and once a site has been trampled over and everything, the evidence pretty much disappears. And
well, no, I just didn't know if you had wanted to go there to get a feel for the the area. I went there, and like you've seen the video that I took when I showed up there with the bear that was down in the site when we drove up, and then came up over the road to where we were driving in. So, so there's bear all over that area.
So do you think at this point that Justin shot a bear that day and just made up this story to cover it up?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what the whole bullshit of the why the bullshit of the story is.
Or he just wanted to make up a story and it just got away from him.
I don't
And then
understand
he had
it
to go with it.
at all. I don't buy much of it, any of it.
I did for a long time. I did buy a good portion of it because he's a good storyteller. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a really good storyteller if it's all a story. But knowing what we know now, and stepping away from that whole situation, because we were involved in that situation.
Well,
You went there.
according to him, he drove up, and when you drive down into this site, it comes down on like a curve, and the curve goes up around by where they were camping, and then goes down into the area where the road stops.
Right.
And they pulled up to that section. He stepped out of the truck and aimed at a creature running at him, waving its fucking arms.
Yeah.
That's the story as I know it. Have I fucked it up in any way that anyone knows of?
No, he never got out of the truck. I don't think.
I thought he stepped out with one
One
leg.
Yeah.
And
One
outside,
foot.
he had the rifle rested on the door frame.
Right. And then he wound up getting out of the truck because in order to go down and shoot the other one in the area that he claims to have, which I've seen, he wouldn't have been in the truck at that point.
No. He said he went to look for the big one, the first one.
Right.
And then he came across the two little ones.
Right.
Killed one of the little ones. In a different.
So that is the story as we know it.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the basics, but yeah.
And I've been to this area. It's an interesting place. It's a cool spot. I'd say it's a cool camping spot.
Now,
But
I don't
other
know.
than that,
I don't know if it's ever been made public, and since this story, everybody's gone. Nobody's around anymore to complain. There was alleged other types of activity there as well. Did you experience any of that when you were there?
what do you mean other types of activity?
Like strange lights and things like that.
I was there during the day, and no, I didn't see any type of strange lights or anything like that. I didn't camp out there.
It was kept out of the documentary allegedly to
Yeah, I remember
to
that
keep
whole.
the documentary legit, I guess. They didn't want to mix in
There were
UFO
certain
with it.
parties that did not want anything UFO related part of the documentary or anything else. Yes, I remember that.
Just wondered, I mean, if you had experience. I think I'd asked you before, but you hadn't. But a lot of people don't know that there was allegedly that kind of activity going on as well at that same area.
No, the only camping I did in California was out near the Bigfoot Museum, and it was an actual campground.
Right.
A lovely place.
Yeah.
So we're all on the
interesting.
same page that the whole Justin Smeow story was probably bullshit.
Well, I don't know. I see. The thing is, I don't associate with Justin. I never have. I mean, my point towards the man is, you can only have two things in mind when dealing with Justin Smeow. One, he's a murderer who just blatantly killed two Bigfoots, a little one and a big one.
Admittedly, even.
And so either he's just a flat out killer just because, or he's a liar who makes
a very skilled liar.
Yeah. Either way, I don't want anything to do with the guy.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know if, Chris has met Justin. I spoke with him several times via Google Hangouts and even interviewed him on another show that I used to do that I regret. I mean, that I was on. And, he had convinced me that at least he was telling the truth as he saw it. Now, I've since changed my opinion about that. Now I think he was just a very good liar. But at that time, I mean, he was very convincing if you sat down and actually questioned him. He had an answer for everything,
Yeah, Yeah,
So
thing is, I've not had a lot of contact with the gentleman, so
yeah.
I can't really offer up any kind of personality thing. But I got to tell you, the guy poaches for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, from the get go, he's not exactly the type of person.
But
Yeah,
now,
he's definitely he's not.
a high moral character.
Yeah, he's definitely exactly, Steve. He's not a person of high moral character. He's definitely a prankster.
Okay.
And I think if you add those two things together and you look at the situation as it was, as it is, it was a 15-second of fame grab.
I have to agree with that at this point. I don't think. Well, he may have killed something that day, but I don't believe it was a Bigfoot or two at this point. And I don't. Obviously, he admitted to poaching.
I don't agree at this point in time.
I mean, he agreed to or he admitted to poaching, and he's been busted for it since.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Here's the thing: he got away with whatever he did that day, or days before, or days after, or months, or years after. And I think he got to the point where he thought he was invincible and could do it, and then he finally got busted. So,
Oh yeah, they've been on to him for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
they wouldn't come to your door because of alleged Bigfoot shooting, because they just don't do that. But they would come if they thought you might have shot a bear.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah.
Would you shoot, boy?
And that explains why he didn't grab the body. Because I don't care who you are. You shoot a Bigfoot out in the woods, if you can get even a piece of that body, you're the most famous person in the world for a long time.
Steve,
You would have grabbed a
if
piece of
there's
that body.
Bigfoot and UFO lights in the sky, it's gotta be
That was the
ancient aliens.
out of everything, the one part of that story that bothered me the most is that he didn't even clip a piece of hair. You know,
Hey,
you would. I think I would.
Oh, but he didn't know what it was.
It doesn't matter if you
He had
don't know
no
what something is. If you don't know what something is, you've probably got some, and you're a hunter and you're out in the woods all the time, and you know what a bear is, and you shot something that resembled a bear but looked more human. You're gonna know that you should take some part of that.
it
for
was the
future
dog, man.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that anytime someone tells me a story and it involves some creature that was big, hairy, it looked like a man, walked on two legs, and it was like 7 feet tall with these long arms, and they describe it, but they don't tell you it was a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, I know the story is bullshit. Because everybody and their kids know, and their dogs know what a Sasquatch is.
Right. Even
It's a
if it
dog
doesn't
man.
exist, you still know what it is. There's little kids, 7-year-olds know what it is. Little kids, because they watch TV and see it, so they know.
Justice Mihawk got there and said, "All I know is it was a monster and it wasn't supposed to be there. That's why."
That's right. It was a fucking werewolf. He had to shoot it. What would you do, Phil? What would you
Well, it
do if
reminds
the
me of,
fucking wolf man was coming at you?
I
you see
would.
one of those old UFO movies where
You'd pull out your silver bullet.
one of those old UFO movies where everybody panics and starts shooting at it.
What would Phil do?
That kind of thing.
Well, some say.
Richard, I swear to fucking God.
I thought Richard had fallen asleep. He's well aware of what's going on.
Of course he is.
So Richard was an outsider at that time, with the whole Justin Smith. He wasn't in. We didn't know Richard at the time. I think he was in the Team Taser group, but what was your
pulse? He had his pulse on the workings of Bigfoot.
He had his fingers on the pulse.
Yep.
So what was your opinion of the Justin thing when it first came out, Richard?
I believed it until I saw that documentary they did.
Okay. What was in the documentary that made you change your mind?
It just seemed incredibly rehearsed. Like the whole story, nothing seemed to change at all. And it just seemed like they'd been repeating it over and over and over again.
Like a reality show?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Well, I did a report. If you remember back in those days, I did a report or a little bit of investigative work on the lady who did the lie detector test.
Carry on, gentlemen. I have to piss.
All right, you go ahead and do that. And that should have been my clue. She got her license to practice. I don't even know if you need a license to practice, but she learned how to do it. And I kid you not, the name of the course she took was lie detector test in a box. And
Right.
it's a real thing.
Yep.
Well, I was threatened big time to take that story down, even with legal. And I didn't have any money to defend a legal case, so I took the story down. But I can't remember what her name was, and I'm not going to say it on air anyway because I was accused of harming this woman's livelihood and all that stuff. But it turns out that the guy that she worked for has been, several lawsuits against him for, fake shit. So the lie detector test that Justin took, in my mind, even if lie detector tests were admissible in court, wouldn't be reliable anyway because of the way it was administered. And
lie detectors are notoriously unreliable in any case.
Right, I get that. But let's say they were. Well, when you learn how to do lie detector tests out of a course called Lie Detector in a Box, you're probably not the most legit.
Listen, you've got a guy that
tester
used
out
to
there.
shake up perps all the fucking time right on the air with you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just ask him.
First of all, I had read, or actually, I saw that article or post or whatever of Steve's, and I wholeheartedly agreed with it. When you look at, of course, I didn't know.
And for the record, Phil, how many times did you take, the phone book to a gentleman that may or may not have been, being uncooperative?
How many times did Phil take the phone book? Well, some say.
You sure?
Go on, Phil.
No, I didn't know anything about the guy she worked with. I know that she worked as one of the employees at an office. That's as far as I got. But as far as a polygraph, yeah, I just don't even go there.
Yeah.
It's a futile argument.
Right. And that's another part of it. But when my point of that whole article was the problems with lie detector tests exist, but it's problematic when you take a course with that title, because who's going to believe anybody who takes a lie detector in a box, course to learn how to do this? It seems to me that it's like one of these things where you go and
It's the Acme lie detector in a
Right.
box.
Yeah, basically. And so it's one of those things where it just throws doubt on it even more than there already is. So, because I would never go to lawyer in a box, right? I wouldn't go to somebody who took that course. So why would I go to somebody who took lie detector in a box? That would be the last person. And they basically found the first person that would do it, is what happened, on short notice. So
The first person that would actually go as far as to having conducting a polygraph on somebody who claims to have shot a Bigfoot.
right. It's and the guy that she worked
I
for, or
shot the Bigfoot.
the guy whose course it was, is one of these guys who does it for all the TV shows and things like that. So yeah, it wasn't like some guy who's been practicing for 50 years since the old school machines. And so lie detectors can be somewhat reliable, but they're not admissible in court, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that kind of it was another thing that threw doubt on the story at the time, is all.
Steve's full of doubt.
I wish I would have kept that story on a disc somewhere, but I don't have it anymore. I was
And
a pansy.
shame.
Somebody threatened me with legal action because I'm harming somebody's livelihood. I took it down, and I'm ashamed of doing it.
Somebody's going to break into your house and maybe take your laptop and see if we could scour the hard drive for that story.
Well, that laptop's non-existent anymore, so good luck.
Oh,
They'd
Yeah,
be breaking
Steve,
in looking for a movie anyway.
yeah, Steve only keeps 8mm film,
Let's not talk about that.
snuff films.
I don't have snuff films.
Oh,
Oh,
maybe you may or may not have an illegal film. Phil.
I don't know that it's illegal. It's not.
he can neither confirm nor deny the
I
allegation.
actually found that I have more than one film of that nature.
Oh dear
So-
Jesus!
I was going through the crap that I got.
You were watching it.
I have not attempted to watch it. I haven't brought my 8mm movie projector out of the basement.
You're like, oh honey, let's watch something a little exciting.
The worst part is I'm not even surprised. You know?
8mm porn doesn't really do that well on eBay, so but that particular one would.
Think so?
If it were legal to list, yeah.
In what ways?
Yeah, Steve, tell us.
Because it's a very rare film that's even if you search for it on the internet, which it can be found, it's very hard to find, even on the internet. So that's how it would be valuable. How it would be illegal? Well, that's you can listen to the past shows and figure that one out.
No, I'm not going to listen.
Yeah, you don't want to.
The Miami.
How do we get on my illegal porn films from Justin Smia?
Because I needed to take a hit, and I mean, I needed you to be jabbering your jaw for a little bit.
God, guys, it's just rough on me.
I can't help it.
So we're at an impasse on the Grace Harbor footage, and we're at an impasse on the Sierra footage from Bart Cuttino. What's next?
Well,
Actually, I
wait.
agree more with the Bart Cuttino footage with Phil than I did on the Grace Harbor at that time.
The Sierra footage. The problem is the people involved.
Right, definitely.
Now, I also think that there tends to be a problem with the people involved when it comes to the other footage. However, I don't see it as
I don't think they hoaxed it.
right.
I
I don't think that they were trying to create something out of nothing.
No. There was definitely something there, and you proved that just by the thermal that you and Doug and John.
Well, I had no part in it. I was just there.
Well, weren't you in the suit?
No,
Who was in the suit when that happened?
John.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in the suit when they did the thermal.
No, I just got chased by John in the suit.
But I mean, I've seen thermal reenactments like that before where somebody gets in a suit or even clothing. Clothing will drastically reduce what shows up on the thermal. You can usually still see through most clothing, but if you're out there naked as opposed to clothed, it's going to make a difference on the thermal. And whatever was out there was not clothed. So in any way. So
Yeah. Well, and you know, like I said, with the Sierra Kills site, quote unquote, footage, I think that the people involved tend to discount at least the story and the basis of the documentary and all the bullshit. But I think it kind of takes away from the thermal footage too.
yeah, it has to. I mean,
Now, whether or not it's valid, I don't know. You know, if I went back and rewatched Phil's breakdown twice. Like, you know, this is the angle, this is where it was pointed at, this is where they were. It may be so.
Well, what did I say at the end of the video?
I can't remember, to be honest with you, Phil.
you watch it twice. It doesn't really.
Listen, don't fucking judge me.
I bet you by the end of the video he was high. So
yeah, I mean, come on.
Basically, at the end of the video, I pointed out that the reason why that video was so good is not because of what was captured that night, but because of the investigation that followed by Bart
Right.
and his
Right.
and it basically is something. It's the way that all Bigfoot investigations should be done. I mean,
Correct.
And sadly,
training.
that's the only. It wasn't. They're not. Most of them are done quite the opposite.
Exactly, and this one was done just. I mean, he covered everything that he could possibly think of to prove.
And for the record, Bart never, he said it's not that great of footage. It's not going to be the end all and be all of anything. And he never claimed it to be a Bigfoot. He just said, here's the footage. We're going to investigate the distances, the heights, all that stuff. But he never claimed it to be anything more than it was.
I left it open-ended.
Yeah.
There you go. What it's
As you do with everything.
I do. Well, it's either going to believe it or you're not going to believe it.
Now, wasn't that footage taken in a location? Now, Bart was on one side of this little forested area, and the campsite that everybody else was at was on the other side. Isn't that correct?
Roughly speaking, yeah.
So it's not out of the question that somebody from the campsite could have been in between.
Everyone on the campsite was under 6'3".
Okay.
Everyone. No,
It was a good investigation. I mean, I have to give it to Bart for that because
6'3" and in that area.
I wish there were more people out there like him. Now, would we have any more answers? I don't know. But if there were more people out there like him that actually went and investigated properly, instead of, okay, I got this footage and it's secret and we're going to release it on September 25th because who knows, there's some conference going on. And then it turns out to be bullshit, because that's the way 99.9% of the shit's presented to the public is in a bullshit manner with no real investigation, no follow-up most of the time. And the follow-up that is done is sloppy, always sloppy, because you got people who have confirmation bias. They want it to be what they want it to be, and that's that. I had a friend on my friend list on Facebook. He's a ghost investigator, and he's coming to the idea himself that how come every time I go to investigate a ghost, we find evidence, that kind of thing. Well, it's because you want to, and that's what these people are putting out is what they want it to be instead of what it may really be,
Well, not only that, but a lot of the evidence is evidence that's simply contrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your while we got you, Phil, what's your favorite Bigfoot video?
The Freeman footage.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Why for? How come?
The best.
Because I believe that's the real deal.
Regardless of what's been said about Freeman, you still believe that's the real deal.
Well, if you investigate Freeman, you know that he was into it, but he was making videos in plaster cast to see if it could be done.
Right, and that's my point. I mean, I've been making that point, and you've been listening to the show.
Never produced this or the photographs he took of these homemade suits and stuff as evidence of any kind to anyone. The only thing he ever presented was the one he shot, known as the Freeman footage.
Right. And from what my understanding is, and I know I'm going to hear it, but he did that Today Show interview, and he said, yeah, I've made fake footprints and stuff like that, but they've cut the part out where he says it was to compare to what I believe was the real thing.
Correct.
And so the only part you hear is him admitting, is what people are saying, that he made that fake stuff. Now, I'm impressed with the footage. I don't know either way, but
It's one of my favorite pieces of footage.
Right. But if you go back and investigate deeper than most people are willing to do, the guy wasn't out there putting out fake evidence on purpose, so I don't think it was a hoax. I think there was something really there. I mean, you can tell there was something really there.
I don't know of anyone who, with a job, especially with a job like his, he wasn't making a lot of money as a forester.
Right.
So, I mean, I can't think of anyone that could find somebody in a suit to that quality. I mean, we always say this about the Patterson film. Well, I think the Freeman footage is even better. I think that, I mean, there's no way anyone can look at that and say that's a guy in a suit. I mean, there's no freaking way. It doesn't move like a man. It moves like a monster in the woods that doesn't belong there.
And should be shot.
Well,
According to-
technically, if it's there, it does kind of belong there.
Right.
But to us, it's something we've never experienced.
So you're saying Freeman wouldn't have had the means to create an impressive suit?
I don't think so. And that looks more ape-like than human to me.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Well, I mean, you know how many fake footage I've seen with all the people in the suits and so forth. They look like people in a suit. They are shaped like a person. This is not shaped like a person. Even what's his name, who redid the Patterson suit, the way he walks in it, and the footage he did with the fake monkey baby or whatever running down through the rocks, and I mean, it was you could tell just by the way he moved.
That would be Leroy Blevins, and he's also responsible for putting out the theory that JFK was shot like 9 times instead of 4.
Yeah, that's Blevins.
Yeah. So that, I mean, was his suit impressive? I guess, for an amateur, it was better than what I could do. But you could tell. I mean, the ass didn't move the same way. The arms didn't move. That kind of thing. It wasn't a direct representation of what Patty was.
The same way because, it's a person. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if the Freeman footage had been a person, it would have looked like a guy walking.
And especially with the technology of the day,
Now, I just want to clear this up.
VHS
You're not just trolling Steven Streufert right now, right?
Well, Steven's under the impression that Freeman was a hoaxer, and that's fine. I mean, you can have that opinion. I mean, that's what we're all about, is having differences of opinions. But if you look into it deeper, I don't think he was. I don't think, at least for that footage, he was.
Let's just say he was. Let's say that up until this point, he had been hoaxing, and he keeps going out in the woods because he was looking for a new place to hoax, and he hoaxed these prints, and then all of a sudden, a Bigfoot, a real one, steps out in front of him. Is he not supposed to record it?
Yeah, true, right?
Because that sucker looks real to me, boy. I'll tell you, that sucker looks pretty damn good.
I was always impressed, and I don't know how they did it, and then maybe Phil does, but that one section of the Harley Hoffman footage?
Oh yeah.
How did they do that? Because it was a Santa Claus is real type video, and then there was a Bigfoot in it for some reason, or they were known for that sort of thing. But how did they pull that one off?
Well, they only captured part of the suit, and it was just basically the football pads covered with that fur and the head. Yeah. And that's basically all you saw. You just saw a step behind the tree.
It was impressive, though. I mean, they did a good job, and it fooled a lot of people.
But you know what? I think if you saw the entire thing walking.
Yeah, the other part of the video, I have seen the entire thing. Definitely looks like a guy in a suit.
Right.
I'm just talking about the part where it ducks behind the tree. The impressive part of the film. And if that's all you saw, but it doesn't look like the same suit to me. Like there's 2 different things going on in that video. So I was wondering, the part where it ducks behind the tree looked really good. So, but not saying it was real. Obviously it was a hoax. Then nobody ever admitted to it, but as far as I know.
But then you believed the head in a box.
It was a good story. It went along with the
Chris, I really believe him. I don't think he's any bullshit whatsoever. I'm doing the interview.
Now, if I go back and re-listen to that whole interview, I can see parts where maybe there should have been some red flags raised, but overall, the guy just seemed just like Justin, to be a very skilled liar, you know. And I scoured the internet, and I had help. I wasn't the only one working on it. Phil from the beginning disagreed with me. And I have-
wasn't it Adam Bird who found it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
But I tried. I mean, I put a lot of time and effort into that one, and I believed he had something.
Oh, I just let you. You kept coming to me, and I just kept giving you rope.
You know, but you know, it wasn't true.
Yeah.
So,
Phil, what's your favorite UFO story?
I don't think I have a favorite UFO story.
No.
No, I no, they're all pretty much the same to me. I just there's just everything that I've ever seen has been explained away or fake. You know,
It's all just bullshit. It's all just bullshit to you.
well, I'm not saying that. I mean, I've talked. I've got family members.
Mhm.
My older brothers saw a UFO while camping. They weren't bullshitting. I mean, they're not the type to make up shit. And one of them told me the story, and then I confirmed it with the other two later on. And oh yeah, that happened. Blah blah blah. So I'm thinking there might be something to it. I don't know what it is, but what it is, or who they are, or what or where they come from. But yeah, there's something.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a rational man. You obviously believe there's other life in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and they look like frogs.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they? They should. Big eyes. You know, it's that perfect gray depiction. I think.
mhm.
I think it has to be ancient aliens. It's
Yep.
always ancient aliens.
I'm not
Even if they're current aliens, they're ancient aliens. Phil.
right. Ancient aliens. So
They're always ancient. No matter what happens, ancient.
that's right. You know why the aliens were here? Because
It's
nothing points to them.
all of my UFO/alien research, it's ancient aliens.
All of it.
I don't believe in any current aliens. I
Gotta
think they're all ancient.
Got to be old enough that you can't disprove it.
Right.
So they has to be ancient.
Did you say Asian?
Yeah.
I didn't say Asian aliens. I said ancient aliens.
But Asian aliens.
No, listen. Don't make this.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
Yeah,
Don't. Listen, Phil. Come on now.
Damn alien racist.
I was invited. I showed up. This is the gig.
And this is what you do.
It's fine.
Your hate of the Asian people.
well worth what we paid you to be here.
Thank you.
0.
Exactly.
Did you have any clue that I was bringing him on, Steve? I gotta know.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
He's no Tim Pisano, but he did all right.
He is no Tim Fasano. That is the truth.
You know, it's really hard to live up to Tim.
Mr.
That
Fasano.
still remains my favorite show I ever did.
The master.
It was great. Well, no, see, Steve, Phil messaged me and said, "Hey, I can do the news."
Oh yeah. So what are you gonna do? Bring in a different newsman every week now? I don't think anybody could live up to Phil, but
I don't know what I'm gonna do now, Steve. Steve, you have to just roll with the punches.
I was actually surprised when I got into the show that Richard was even here, because Richard hadn't sent me any news stories.
That's right.
That should have been my clue, and I'm over here trying to find news stories in a hurry because Richard wasn't doing his job.
No news for you.
And here you got this whole scheme worked out behind the scenes that I don't know anything about.
Nobody knew anything about it, not even Richard.
I did.
All I told Richard was
Phil
don't
kinda
send
had to know.
Steve any news.
Yeah, he just got a hold. Here's the link. Get on here now.
Richard thought we were going to do deep space colonization.
Oh,
He studied for it.
nice.
He's all ready. Richard, aren't you ready? for deep
I'm
space?
ready.
Let's do it. Let's do a little deep space colonization. Go.
Miami Police Department received
Uh,
upon arriving at the restaurant. They found 510-pound Romeo Carter tugging
That
down.
was, I want everyone to know that that sound that came out of Richard, that was his British disgust.
Some say.
uh,
Well, that was a good show, guys. I think
it was.
Was it fun?
a lot of.
Maybe.
Did you have a good time?
I had a swimmingly good time.
That's
Rehashing the oldies.
I wanted to hear from
the
the
goodies.
lovely ladies.
Oh, wait. Speaking of the oldies.
Are we going to play some Osmonds now?
No. Well, are you a little bit country?
I'm a little bit rock and roll.
I figured as much. What about Michael Merchant these days?
Oh, God.
And there's one other thing we have to discuss before we get off the air.
I-
We're a little long form tonight, Steve.
Does he even have a channel anymore?
I believe so.
Serious?
Richard might know a little more than us, although he doesn't do his blog anymore. He just does his Keith and Colin shit, I think.
Yeah.
Richard. Speak
What?
to me, Richard. Richard, talk to me.
What?
Richard, I'm touching
Wake up,
myself.
Richard. You're on the show.
You're on the show, Richard. Hey, does Michael Merchant still do shit on his YouTube channel?
Yeah, he's into flat Earth and proving that the Earth is seriously run by a bunch of aliens.
Oh,
It's a
So
flat
legit
Earth
stuff now.
run by aliens.
so he's gone to the legit side of science now.
Yeah, he's less crazy than he used to be.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well,
Okay.
he's less crazy or more crazy than he used to be, Richard?
Less crazy.
He's less crazy, believing in the flat Earth.
Yeah, I'd put flat Earth above some of the stuff he was talking about.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, they
Must
If
be the
you say
most
so.
popular thing to be into now, I guess.
And do we want to discuss the other thing we were talking about before the show?
sure. What were we talking about?
You don't know, Phil.
I don't even know.
Richard does. Richard.
Which specific thing?
The Lori thing.
Oh, no, we don't want to touch on that.
We don't want to touch on that one.
No.
Okay. Is there a reason why?
Lawsuits.
Well, it's just...
Lawsuits will ensue.
We might get sued. Who
it's
knows?
just a bit silly, to be honest.
All right.
It all is.
You had brought it up as if it was something we should talk about, and now you're saying no. So I brought
Well,
it
he
up.
had time to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then
He had
changed his
time to
mind.
cool down. He was like, yeah, probably not a good idea to bring that up tonight.
Well, there's really nothing to bring up in that situation at this time.
I read
No.
crap about her, and it's just silly.
It's
What?
just silly. It's just two people having a lover's quarrel,
Okay.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Thank you.
One of them.
It may not be. They may not be lovers or be having a quarrel.
No, they were definitely lovers, and they were definitely quarreling.
Oh,
Well, so allegedly.
maybe, possibly.
Probably.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Definitely probable.
Well, he just had a video, and
See-
she wanted.
You see how
him to-
easy it is for me to get him to fucking to talk? It's fucking crazy easy. This is why I tell him almost nothing.
Now, this is also public information because it was put out by, can I say her name? Lori?
Sure, if you want
Lori,
to.
Lori Simmons.
It's your funeral.
Yeah. Well, no, it was put out by her publicly. And now Richard can finish.
Okay. Basically, this bloke called Brent Dill, who I do not like in the slightest, and it
He's a
pains-
bloke.
He's a bloke.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Some
it's
dude.
English for guy Richard doesn't like.
He's a guy.
It's English for guy, bloke, lad,
I don't know what it's for.
Fella.
fella. You know, anyway, laddie. Anyway.
Go on.
Anyway, yeah, he put up some Bigfoot evidence that he'd taken with this lorry woman, and she wanted to use the evidence he'd collected for her summit speech.
Right.
And she got really shirty about him putting it on a YouTube
Whoa.
channel.
So shirty?
Yeah, shirty.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway.
she said that she was going to get a lawyer and sue him for copyright infringement, I guess. She never went into specifics exactly what she
Wonder how that'll work out.
Yeah, it was on public land and anyway.
Well, that my lawsuit worked out. It's going to be thrown out.
Well, however, you kind of have to look at it one way. It could be kind of a dick move. If in fact it was footage that they took together.
It wasn't.
And okay, I don't know.
So
we're not involved in the private conversations of these two people.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know if they discussed her using this at the Sasquatch Summit or not. And so if it were discussed between the two of them and he put it on YouTube anyway, then yeah, it's a dick move. If it was never discussed, well, he probably shouldn't have, but whatever.
Apparently there was an agreement in place that he could use certain stuff, and she changed her mind. So Brent, got all lemon back and decided to sue her for libel.
What?
Because she was besmirching him all over Facebook. And in the end, hackles were lowered. They reached an agreement off Facebook, and now the whole thing seems to have quieted down.
Good. We're done with that.
Yay.
Was there makeup sex involved?
Probably.
I have no idea.
I did say that.
Well, I mean, you just seem to have your finger on the pulse of the whole thing. So.
I don't honestly know. If I knew, I'd say.
There was makeup sex involved, and Richard was involved.
I just love how you're like,
Allegedly.
no, we don't need to talk about that. Within fucking 5 minutes, I had you talking about it.
Oh, too fun.
You're the best, Richard.
So another Bigfoot lawsuit, basically. Doesn't this happen like every 3 to 6 months?
Well, it wasn't an actual lawsuit, was
Well,
it? It was just
threat.
threats.
What's going on with Claudia's lawsuit?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Last I heard, she'd gotten a real lawyer to take a look at it and, basically change whatever Todd,
Not a lawyer in a box.
not fucking Todd Standing.
No, the lawyer she got's out of Texas, and he does mostly accident, like those guys you see on TV. If there was an accidental thing at work or you were involved in an accident, call 1-800 lawyer in a box.
That's right.
Medical soul.
Yeah, the first was an ambulance chaser, basically.
We got up here. We got Joe Bornstein.
So I don't know what the lawyer wants to accomplish out of it, but I think it's a win-win situation for the lawyer. Yeah, I'm the guy who went to court against California for Bigfoot. I think for him it would be an advertising boon.
Let's clarify. Every lawsuit in this world, all the lawyers win. They're the other ones.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's going to get paid either way.
So Phil, I don't think I've had a chance to ask you your opinion on air. No, I haven't. What do you think about the lawsuit, the Claudia Ackley lawsuit?
Well, I'm sorry that she decided that way. She knows how I feel, and she felt that she needed to do it because she felt it was the right thing to do. And so, I mean, if that's what she wants to do, better luck to her. I don't care. I mean, really, it's no skin off my nose. It doesn't affect me and anyone else. It's basically just going to the state and asking for recognition by the state wildlife. But I mean, it's just. I mean, I do have an opinion that it's not going to happen.
Right.
Well, and like I said, I told her I said, I think if you want to put effort into something, put it into real research. Get out there and get some fucking real evidence.
You can gather up all this money for a lawsuit, put it into people who are serious and not the people that we know, but real scientific
Get
investigation.
some
of
real
this.
scientists, some people with degrees that are willing to make it happen. Put the fucking GoFundMe account together. Like seriously, you could get the money. People are stupid. They'll fucking pour money into that shit.
Hell, they gave money to that guy who launched himself into space.
Right.
Or tried to. He didn't get to space, but
And that guy named Wally just throws money at the guy with the hobby.
Well, this is a good point, and the one thing I can say is that
Guy with the hobby. Are you ever going to let that go?
no,
Nope.
He's never going to let it go. Go
Well,
ahead,
yeah.
Phil.
guy with a hobby. I mean, it's you're acting like maybe he's not really out there looking, but as far as I can see, he had been. So anyway, yeah, whatever. She doesn't have any other ulterior motives other than
No, I don't think so.
Other than an honest one.
After we talked to her, she came across as this is what she believes is the right thing to do.
She was lovely.
She seems like a sweetheart, to be completely honest. As a matter of fact, she messaged me the other day.
Yeah, and she understood our side too. It's not like, you get on Facebook and see these people and their opinion is the only opinion that they're ever going to listen to, and you're a troll regardless if you don't agree with them. She wasn't like that. She came on, she understood where we were coming from. She believes she's right.
Yeah, and we told her up front. I got into a hangout with her, a couple of days before we did the show, and I told her, this is how it is. We don't agree with you.
And if you're honest with somebody like her, they see your side of the story. Now, they may not listen to it, and they may not agree with it, but she understands that we're not out there just to throw her under the bus and stomp on her. We're not trolling her, that kind of thing.
And I don't think we did.
No, I thought we were very fair with her.
So, and that's it. That's the thing. And I see all these people that aren't willing to come on and have these discussions with us, have actual discussions. They're just not willing to put in any effort.
Well, we come across as assholes, but
we are assholes, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
We are total assholes. Let's be fair.
But
we're fair to every guest that's ever been on here.
We're upfront about it.
Yeah.
I don't tell anybody, hey, we're the best people on the planet. Although most people that wind up coming on the show and talking to us say you guys are way different than what I expected.
Yeah, because we're not going to hide what we think, but we're not going to berate you for what you believe either.
Right.
Now we're going to tell you why you're wrong.
unless you believe something really stupid.
Like one Patrick Epistemon?
Yeah, we kind of berated him. Well, Steve berated him.
Steve unleashed.
But but see, you got to know your guests too. I knew Patrick would be able to handle it, and he did. Yeah. So
he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, he knew.
The funny part of that night was Matt screaming to get into the fucking show in the chat. That was awesome. Dude, give me the link now. Like I look at my Facebook and all of a sudden I see all these messages from Matt. What the fuck? Give me the link now.
Matt, just speaking of Matt, he put out some lost episodes of the Bigfoot Outlaws show. If anybody wants to go check that out. So
the lost episodes.
Yeah, the lost episodes.
Bigfoot Outlaws.
Lost episodes. Let me tell you. You got to.
Let me tell you about the lost episodes.
Well, I bet that I'd end up dead.
One man alone looking for Bigfoot.
Yes, please go listen to Bigfoot Outlaws, but we are in no way endorsing that.
Well, it's not whether we endorse it or not. Matt's a friend, and we're
We're
going to
not
plug him.
endorsing. One man alone.
What is that? Todd Standing?
Does
that
he
you're
have
talking
another
about?
co-host?
Those for sure.
Matt Knapp will
Matt's a
find the
great dude.
truth about Bigfoot wherever it may hide. He's the best. Who
He is
doesn't
the
love Matt?
best.
He is
Well,
awesome.
a lot of people.
Keep trying to get him to come on the fucking show, the prick.
Yeah. So, as you know, we, Matt and myself, had a show. And
Yes.
Still?
had a.
Had.
Oh, had. I was gonna say, yeah, you did for a while.
I really enjoy doing those shows, and
Matt's just an intelligent dude. I mean, he and funny.
you
So,
know shit about shit that people don't even know shit about.
I didn't even know
Wow.
that shit existed.
That shit's there. Ask
Yeah.
Matt. He'll tell you.
If you want to know shit,
Matt's the guy to talk to.
that's right. He's the shit expert.
You know shit.
He will tell you shit about shit.
Mm-hmm. That'll make you shit.
He delves deep into shit.
He goes way deep into that shit.
So deep you got to bring a shovel.
No shit.
That's right. You got to put on some boots. Because you're going to be wading in some shit.
He's gonna be screaming to get this hang out here pretty soon.
Listen, you fucking jackass.
People don't know shit from Shinola.
Matt does. If you put shit
You
and
could-
Shinola in front of Matt,
You
he'll
couldn't
tell
let
you
it go, could you? You couldn't fucking let it go. You had to fucking just keep pounding it.
Mm.
You talk about me with the fucking whole hobby bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, you're still on that Norm Glasser bullshit too. And I wish they would stop on that one.
No, you did that to yourself. You did that to yourself, son.
People tried to tell you. We
Yeah,
tried.
and I have to say, Chris never tried to tell me shit.
No, I let him. I just fucking gave him all the rope in the world.
I bet Matt,
Bill did. Bill said this is suspect. And
I was like, "Oh, go ahead, do it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it." Because I knew when it blew up, I knew one of two things was going to happen, Phil. Either he was going to find something very, very interesting, and then he would bring it to our show, or it would implode, and
on our show.
and that would also be brought to our show.
Yeah.
you're just still pissed off about the rat boy and dog or whatever.
No, that was the early beginnings of this bullshit.
I have the
No.
opportunity to audition on May 5th for a Hollywood movie that's being filmed in the area, and I'm thinking about doing it. You think I'll do all right?
Are you fucking serious?
It's a horror story about fracking. I kid you not.
You have to do whores. I mean, is that what people do to whores these days? Frack them?
No, I'm not going to audition. But the guy in the lead role happened to go to high school with me, so I thought about it, but I'm not going to do it.
Oh, I see.
Wow.
Direct to CD.
Yeah.
All 5 of them.
You're the best.
Oh, budget production.
It's not a low budget. It's a Hollywood production. It's a big budget.
Big budget?
About fracking in Pennsylvania, of all places.
Hmm.
We don't frack in Pennsylvania.
The UFOs land?
Is there fracking?
Did Bigfoot come out? Are they time travelers?
I don't know. Are we ever going to end this show?
No.
I don't
Because
think.
I got to go to the bathroom.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well,
All right. All right. Well, let's end it then, Steve.
I've gone
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This has been the Fortean Slip, episode 22, the end of fake news. Steve. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment, subscribe. Check out Bigfootin' with Keith and Colin on Facebook. That's Richard's comic strip / comic thing. Check out Para Breakdown on YouTube at youtube.com / Para Breakdown. Check out Matt Knapp at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads for the lost episodes. They've been lost, but now they're found.
No shit.
Check out, as always, our good friend Dred Funn at dredfun.com and youtube.com/dredfun. We will be back next week with something of a show. Maybe a topic. Maybe more bullshit. You just never know. See ya!